Hello, and welcome to an episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 262 at scavengerlife.com.
So last week we posted an interview with Mikey and Wendy, our friends.
Yes.
Who we had started the podcast with.
I very much enjoyed that interview.
And it was good to hear from you.
Yeah, it's good.
I think the people who have probably been listening to us for a while remember who they are. People who are just starting are probably like, who are these people?
Yeah, but people go back in the archive, so I think most people know who they are.
Yeah, but it's good. We always like to keep up with our friends who are also kind of living these unconventional lives, if you think of not having a 9-to-5 job as being unconventional.
Right.
But another reason why we posted it was last week was my birthday.
Yay!
So we wanted to take some time off to just kind of
take
relax
a
and
little
enjoy
break.
ourselves.
A little break.
Yep, I turned 43 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Numbers are weird. Age is weird.
No, I think I've said this before. I mean, like, growing older, really, I don't know. I feel better because every year I feel more comfortable,
Good.
So that's important to me. But this is nice having a really young wife,
Who's that?
Trophy wife.
Okay, moving on.
But it's good, and I like it because we kind of have, or at least I do, I have in my plan, in my head, a plan for, like, by the time I turn 50, we will have everything in place, everything paid off.
Yes, please.
Our business is kind of just humming along.
Yes.
And just like, that's...
Yes.
We're at a good place.
I love that plan.
Yeah.
Totally.
Cool.
I also have that plan.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
So, we work on it a day at a time.
That's right.
So, let's talk about eBay.
Yes.
That's why we're here.
Yes.
That's all people care about. So, we went to a great auction in D.C., which is the big urban area close to us. It's a bit of a whole thing because
it's a drive.
It's close, but it's not that close. It's 2 hours to get there.
Yeah,
and then it's all the traffic. It's great though. We have a awesome friend who lets us stay at his house.
Thank you, Brad and Kristen.
Yes, for letting us stay at their house. So that really helps. So that way we can go stay overnight and then wake up and then hit this auction that starts at 9 a.m. downtown. And it's an interesting auction because, where we live, we've talked about a lot of the auctions are going all online. So no longer can we go there and have the fun excitement that we used to have.
Yeah, so it's basically essential to have a place to stay because the auction starts at 9:30 in the morning. So it's good to be able to go there early to preview it. So it's sucky to have to drive there in the morning.
Yeah. The cool thing is I've been wanting to go here. We've been to it a couple times, and I wanted to go last year, but we kind of put it off. And the reason why it's cool is because really about wealth.
Yes.
This is where fancy people are selling their estates.
Right.
High-end art, furniture. Now, that's not the one we go to.
Yeah.
They have a different auction on different days for like the really high-end stuff where people are buying $10,000 paintings. And
right. They're two different auctions.
Right. The auction we go to
is in the basement.
Is there like, basically,
essentially.
It's like all the stuff they don't sell in the fancy auctions.
Yeah.
It's like the leftover stuff. But the cool thing is,
yeah,
even though it's the leftover stuff, it's the leftover stuff from like really expensive houses.
Right.
So it's like going to like a really nice estate sale.
Yes. I mean, stuff can get pricey, but you can get deals because other people don't want what you want.
And it's funny when we first started doing this, and especially when we first started going to auctions. I mean, I was very like overwhelmed and like feeling like I shouldn't be here. Like I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And even going to this auction, it's all dealers.
And a lot of dealers know each other already.
They all know each other. The auction guys know them.
Right.
So there's like a whole inner clique thing going on.
Yeah.
And it took me actually about 20 minutes to a half hour to kind of get into it because they were just kind of going. The auctioneer knew who wanted what, and it just everything was happening. And then I just had to kind of insert it myself and just be like, I want it. Yes, go.
And what's good is when you insert yourself in in our minds, we're like, we're dealers too.
Sure.
We've been to auctions. We know, because I felt that way too, where it was like, there are people there that have numbers that are permanent numbers.
Right.
Like that auctioneer knows that that's Betty, and Betty's number is 175.
They have their, right. They have the permit numbers are a four
number long,
and
yeah.
so people like us have a 3 number,
right?
And and there were probably maybe 40 people there,
yeah,
and maybe 30 were dealers, at least.
Right.
Dealers.
I would think
there
so.
were only a handful of us.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was great though. I mean, the thing I always have to remember, and it takes me kind of a bit to get into that mindset. It's all money.
Yeah, it's just numbers.
So as long as I'm willing to pay the money, I can do whatever I want.
Exactly.
There. And it's great though. We got a lot of good stuff. We only spent $200.
We only spent $200. And first of all, we brought our car. Our car is a hatchback. It's got a lot of room. It was already halfway full of because we went to the discount grocery store on our way into town. So we knew we had limited space. We still got a ton of stuff. So we were making sure we weren't, number one, overspending. But we were getting box lots of stuff for $10, $20. Of good, high quality stuff. So I felt like we were good at strategizing.
Right. Yeah, even though it was, I say, fancy and, all these things, it was just like any other place.
Yeah.
It was just a dead man's stuff being sold off.
Yeah.
And they had a lots, like boxes
Box
of stuff.
lots.
And it was great. And
yeah.
there were, and even though these were dealers, everyone had their own kind of thing that they were after. And there were things that we got for cheap.
Nobody wanted.
I got 17... smoking pipe
stands,
holders, and those always sell. I got 17 of them for $30.
Yeah, it was
I couldn't believe it.
What's so funny is I saw them all on one table, and I was like, I really hope they sell them all together because I bet nobody else will want those. They're like, what?
Right.
That's crazy. Where I'm like,
yep.
Actually, our friend Brad just sold one for like $50, just one. So I'm like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah. So. That was good, and that's a good example of just that's when the thrill is still there.
Yeah.
Even after all these years of us doing this, it's still a thrill.
Yeah.
To do that and
right, because I think what's cool is also with auctions, because it's box lots. You kind of see the surface stuff, and then you'll find stuff that's
always happens.
You're like, what is this? Thing?
We'll go and we'll preview it, and we'll go drink coffee or something, grab something to eat, and we'll kind of talk about it. And I'll just be like, I
didn't really see anything. Yeah.
But then for some reason, when the auction's happening, all this stuff starts popping up.
Yeah, it's good.
Things either I didn't see or I saw in a different way or something.
Or what's great is when I got this vintage French enamel coffee grinder, and what was cool is nobody wanted it. People were like, ugh, whatever. And he was like, okay, put that with all this other stuff that also nobody wanted. And I was like, great, I'll take all that other stuff, mid-century vases, and I'm like, yeah, totally,
Yeah. Yeah. So do you think we'll go to that again?
I think so. I think we need to get through what we bought already. Yeah. You've been really good at getting through that stuff.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it, and I felt like I was more nervous also initially about logistics. We gotta drive in, we gotta stay overnight, we gotta get there, we gotta park because parking costs $20. And then we have to figure out how to double park in front of the place when we're loading our stuff. That stuff makes me crazy.
Oh, really?
But the great thing is we were like, yeah, you just double park. It's no big deal. We know the parking lot's right next door. You double park. Right. It's whatever. You hop on the highway and you go home.
Yeah. I never worry about that. We'll fit. I'll strap it to the car. I don't care. We'll get in there. The thing I always just is worried about is I'm missing a good deal. Mm-hmm. Sometimes things can sneak by me. There were a couple of things where they were being auctioned off, and I didn't jump in fast
Right.
enough, or
And you're like, damn.
or they ended it too quick, and so someone got something great for $10. I mean,
Well-
someone got a whole table of these awesome books for $1. 'Cause
Yeah,
no one
that
wanted it.
was...
I even heard. It's weird. I was standing there. I heard it. I watched it happen, and I don't know why I didn't say anything. I could have.
You were just like, what just happened?
Yeah. So
Well, that happens sometimes. And then actually, this other thing happened where you thought you were buying 2 wooden, like, Danish side
Oh,
tables. And what's so funny is, like, I was, like, doing something in the back. I was, like, getting some air because it was pretty hot in there. And you were like, come on, get back over here, get back over here. And you had just, like, mistakenly bought... You're like, come on, get back in the game. I'm like, get back in the game? You're, like, bidding on stuff you don't even know what you're bidding on. But the moral of the story is you accidentally bought this kind of amazing solid glass table. It was, like, this kind of mod-looking, like, rounded edge solid glass table. And you were like, oh, damn, I just bought that by accident. And we sold it to another dealer for more than we bought it for.
yeah, we bought it for 30 and we sold it for
40.
Yeah.
So that was
And
actually
I was glad because
great.
that was actually one of the things where I couldn't have figured out how to get that on or in the car.
Yeah.
But I think that is, about auctions. I mean, it really is an endurance game.
Yes.
You have to be into it.
Yes.
And find the energy to be accessing, being able to be there and be waiting for the right thing. Like, what I do is that, I'll see kind of the road they're going on, and I'll be like, okay, I just bid on that. Okay, now I've got, probably 20 a minute or 10 a minute before the next thing I want.
Right.
Then I'll take a break.
Yeah.
But, I'm always trying to pay attention to when they're getting to the stuff I want.
I think that's part of it too, is like there is a lot of waiting. They'll something will come up and you're like, wow, nobody wants that. Okay, I'll take it if you're paying attention.
Right.
But there is a lot of waiting where you're like, okay, I'm interested in the stuff on the other side of the table. I just have to sit here.
But that's why it's so fun. And even when there are things where I don't think I want, and then suddenly a lot comes up, I'm just like, wait a second, no one wants this? It's $5?
Yeah. I see something in there that's worth...
Yeah, I've never
something.
sold that before, but let's go.
Yeah. Well, next time we're going to bring the truck. That would be very helpful.
So going back to what you were saying about like keeping up with this stuff and not it's wanting to go back until we actually put this stuff up. I mean, it is true. I mean, that's how death piles happen. Like, it is easy for us to go out and buy 75 items in one outing.
Yeah, simple.
Like we came home, we had a whole carload of stuff, we unloaded it. I mean, and it takes us basically a day to do 20 items.
Right.
And it's different if you're doing like a bunch of shirts or something.
Right.
It's like the same thing. Then you can do more, but I'm talking 20 items of just like different random things that take a little bit of research and different photos.
Yeah.
And so, if you think 75 items, I mean, that's almost 4 days of work.
Yeah.
I mean, when we first started to do this, we would shop 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah, we would shop all the time.
Because we were so hungry for inventory, and and also that was the excitement of it, was buying. So that's how we ended up with these huge death piles that we're still working on today.
Yeah.
I mean, so if you shop 3 or 4 times a week and getting, bags of stuff each time.
Yeah.
I mean, we were creating like 15 days of work for every week.
Right.
And then, so this past year, we've been keeping up with everything as we buy. Everything that comes in, we're getting up.
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
when we have extra days, we're eating into our backlog.
Right.
So
Which is very good.
Yeah. So that's, I think, we're evolving to try and become more efficient.
Yeah.
Scavengers.
Absolutely. And, what helps is when we're not on other projects or doing other things that we can sit down and have like a full day. For me, a full day of listing.
Right.
Because if nothing is distracting me, I'm like, I got to get through these folders because everything's just sitting here not being listed. And
I mean, I do not know how people that have children or have jobs or, have things. If we have anything in our day that takes us out, like we even have like a doctor's appointment,
right,
or we have to go clean the house, or, there's some appointment that breaks up the day, it almost kind of kills the day.
Just kills part of the day.
The days that we have best is when we wake up, you eat breakfast, and then
You
you
just
just
start.
have all day, and you can just work into the evening.
Yeah.
Those are the best days.
Yeah.
And even for us, without kids, without jobs, it is hard to get those days.
Yeah.
But those are the days that we really build our business on.
Right. You have to.
All right. So another thing we had done, we have not been going to many yard sales, even since it's last year. Again, because we've been working on, all these death piles we have.
We just have so much stuff already.
So we have not, but this one day it's went to the county next door.
Yep.
We don't really go there very often. We heard there's an estate sale. We thought we'd take a drive.
Yep.
And we drove by this, I don't even know if it was a horse farm, but it was like a house on the side of the highway.
Yeah, and she had land.
Yeah, and we drive up.
Right.
And there's all this kind of junk. But she had a table of 4 saddles.
Yeah, leather
horse
saddles.
And she had prices on all of them. And I asked her how much I wanted for all of them.
Yeah.
And she did that thing of, well, how much are you going to pay me?
Yeah.
And I just said, okay, 4 of them, I'll give you $100 for all of them.
Which is really good because I almost said 200, and that's basically how much she had them priced for. I was like, I'm not going to say a word. I'm going to wait for Jay to...
And she said, yeah.
She said yes.
She even took a check.
She even took a check.
She even told us one of them she had bought for $600 because
when it was new.
Because her daughter is a horse rider.
Yeah.
So this is a good example of do we know anything about saddles? No.
I know how to measure a saddle.
We do now.
Now I do. Thank you, Google.
We did buy a saddle once for $5 at an auction, and we sold it. It was, it was more, I feel like a show saddle, just kind of a broken down old saddle.
We bought another saddle too. Remember, it was that one that was black and canvas, and it sold in a week. We measured that one too.
So, so do we know anything about these things? No, but that's not going to stop us.
Yeah.
We even started asking her a bunch of questions.
Yeah, I was like, are these English saddles? Are they Western saddles? And they're English saddles. I know enough to be like...
How do we measure them? Just is making sure we understood.
But the whole thing is, she's asking us, why are we buying these if we don't know anything about them?
Right.
That, and that comes to the whole question of, do you tell someone you're a dealer?
And so that was a moment where I could have said, well, we're going to resell these.
Yeah.
And
she wouldn't have given them to us for $100.
I don't know. My instinct is just I have a relative that rides horses. I love them. I don't have to know anything about them. And that was enough. It's for her. And,
she gave us a great deal.
Yeah.
So
just something else I've been noticing is in the past, a month or so after coming back from, being away for a long time and just out shopping, we've been finding shoes like crazy. Yeah. I don't know if it's because people are doing spring cleaning and, people have 100 pairs of shoes and they just dump them. But, we have probably 100 to 200 pairs of shoes. I mean,
minimum 100 pairs of shoes.
In the office, there's
it's really
bags of shoes.
If I need to wash my hands, because I was thinking that I have to jump over them. Yeah. So but that's good though. Shoes are the best thing to find and bread
sell.
And butter, man. Yeah. They sell.
So it's one of these days soon. I need to just get on it, and it's just it's like a factory. You just have to put them out, do them, do the next row. Blah, blah, blah.
But they're good shoes. They're great shoes.
And something about buying on eBay.
Yes.
Lately, when we were in Bend, Oregon,
yes,
I spotted these pair of Patagonia pants.
We went into Patagonia. Yeah. We went into the retail store.
Right. Especially when we're traveling, sometimes we'll just walk into a retail stores, which we don't normally do. Just
because we want to see the prices.
Yeah, just see what's for sale.
How much does a pair of pants cost?
And what are people buying? And I saw this really cool pair of pants, Patagonia pants.
Right.
And they're $100.
Yeah, $100.
And I was like, I wonder if I could buy those on eBay. So I put out on a search on eBay that I just check every day.
For the same model, right?
And I found my exact size and this exact type. Someone put on auction, and I bought them for $10. They even had the tags.
They had the tags. They were new with tags.
People, if you run an auction and you start it low, I will snipe it.
Yeah.
And, thank God the guy who sold them didn't freak out or whatever. I don't know if he was if he was just
selling his own pants.
stuff, but it was like, it's great, you know?
But that goes to prove that people, and we all know this, people buy clothes on eBay. People buy a lot of clothes because that's what we do. That's how if I have a specific pair of pants that I want, they're Old Navy, they're this size, they fit me perfectly. I wear them every single day until they fall off my body.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to buy them on eBay for $10.
Right.
Like, totally have a search out for that.
Yep.
So that's why it's good to do clothes sometimes. I mean, we've gotten away from doing clothes, but again, like the shoes, we have piles of clothes that we have to do because they do sell.
Yep, absolutely.
Because there are people like you.
Now, something else I've been noticing, so we've been doing a lot of listing, and we're just in kind of a weird part of our inventory that we've been taking pictures of, and you've really been listing some of the coolest, weirdest stuff.
Really weird stuff.
I mean, it really gets into like the kind of stuff we're putting up. It's just like really long tail, strange,
like
objects.
Weird. And now, what's really long tail? I always think is really long tail are these weird vintage books. These vintage like cookbooks from the 40s and stuff. And the crazy thing is, they totally sell. I've sold like 4 or 5 books this week. What? That's amazing.
Well, I'm sure people that sell books or that are into the books will be like, that's not
abnormal.
That's surprising at all.
Yeah.
But it is interesting that when I think that we're listing stuff where I'm just like, who is ever going to find this? People do. I mean, it's really, it's really great. And, and that's the thing. It really is kind of taking a leap of faith. Like, are these things going to sell? I mean, who knows? But history has shown that people will
buy weird stuff. Absolutely.
I mean, especially if it's just interesting and is made of quality.
Yeah.
That stuff will sell.
Right.
All right. Just briefly, ever so briefly, we're going to talk about Amazon FBA. Because
ever so briefly,
really, we're still doing it. We're still selling stuff. We're still sending some stuff in.
Yeah,
but it's very low key. Amazon is a hungry beast.
Speaking of long tail books, Amazon. And
there were about 2 months where we were just almost focusing purely on FBA.
We were sending
kind
a lot
of stopped
of stuff.
doing any eBay.
Yeah,
just our store was on autopilot. We were sending a lot of stuff, and really we were kind of just sending in kind of low dollar items.
Yeah, absolutely
for the
low
most
dollar
part.
items.
Like books that we were getting for 25 cents or less, and they're selling between $6 and $12 or something. I mean,
but they were selling,
and and it's tough. I think what we've learned, it's tough to scavenge items for cheap that will sell for big dollars on Amazon.
Yeah,
and now I understand why people do the whole a retail arbitrage, because they're just trying to find really popular items.
Yeah.
They're willing to pay a lot of money for them, not make a lot of profit, but things sell a lot.
It's volume, it sells fast.
It's just, I just don't see it ever being a big thing for us.
Right.
Like, it's kind of cool we did it, and I think that there's a certain a niche that we can keep sending in, like a new inbox stuff.
Sure, new inbox.
And, that's cool.
Or books. I mean, I actually really enjoy selling books on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fast process. It sucks to pack them and move the boxes because they're really heavy. But other than that, I feel like we've been pretty successful with books.
That last shipment didn't you do like 75 books?
70 books.
70 books in what, like 3 hours?
Yeah, it was funny because I knew we were going to go by the UPS store the next day, and I was like, I'm going to crank this out in like a couple hours, But,
honestly, though, most of those books, though, again, are going to sell for
not very much
$10.
Money. I know, it's true.
It's maybe an average of $12. So it's a cool little side business, and we'll talk about how much we made as recently. But I think we're still Team eBay here. I mean, again, I have not seen a person who makes a living on Amazon without either, going all into retail arbitrage or wholesale or a label, or doing it the scavenger way, but doing it on such a huge scale where they have like a little warehouse and people are working afford them, and they're sending in,
like
thousands of items.
I haven't seen the people like on our eBay level that we're at,
Right.
2 people making it work.
Just scavenging items
Right.
out in the wild. Because I just don't know if
It's
that's...
not the same.
I don't
Like, you
know.
can't translate that to
Right.
FBA. I don't think, on that level.
And we've talked about it before, but I mean, I think we've really made a decision on it. We were sending in these expensive sink and bath handles and like, tub spouts. They were open box, but they were uninstalled and new.
Yeah.
And we were sending them in, and we've been getting about half of them sent back to us. And I guess it's just because people are just buying them, they aren't installing them, but they're just kind of buying them. They hold it up and they're like,
yeah, I don't want
like
it.
This.
Defective. Don't want to pay for shipping.
They're making us pay for their tests, just to see if it works. And it really, we can't run a business that way. Like when you're a seller, I mean, trust me, people say we have a big store.
We're small sellers.
Time. We cannot afford those kind of...
Yeah, so we're going to sell those on eBay.
Yeah.
And you know what? I've had good luck selling those on eBay.
Yep.
I think people on eBay are more flexible on open box / used items.
Yep.
Because they know it's eBay. They're looking for used items because they want a deal.
Yep.
It's different than Amazon where you're like, it's all brand new, stuff. So even if you're like, it's used.
Yep.
They're still like, what, this is used? It's like, oh, God.
So one thing we learned is Bonanza is turning 8 years old this week.
I remember when Bonanza started.
Which is funny. That's about as long as we've been selling online.
Yeah.
And I think I do remember that. That was one of the... first sites that tried to come along to become the eBay killer, and it was called
Bonanza, because they couldn't get Bonanza.com, but they did eventually.
Yeah, and we've always said we've just synced our eBay store with them, so it's kind of like we don't do any work at all.
I've been selling a few things on Bonanza in the last couple days, so
and,
it's been good.
It's especially good during holidays. It seems like when just people...
They're shopping everywhere.
Every so often, it's one of those high dollar items that sells.
Yep.
So anyway, that's cool. It's been, like people have talked about on the blog, a slowish week.
Yeah.
But this, I'm very proud of us. I'm gonna, pat ourselves on the back. We really slogged it out.
Oh my God.
We actually turned out it's not doing too badly. But I mean, it was like the average price was under $30.
Yeah.
We were just slogging out all these things. I mean, items we've had in our store for a long time, things that we just listed. I mean, no specific category is going crazy. It's just the work.
Yeah.
And that's a tough way to run a business, but this is what you got to do.
Yep.
And I don't know if it's the summer or like the election stuff is driving people crazy, or like people are getting worried because of all the political stuff.
I don't know. But it has been slow.
But it's been good. And I will say this. When I read the blog and see people post their numbers, it's not that way for everyone. Some people are
True.
like, it's my best week.
Yes, I've heard that. Yep.
Who knows?
It's different for everyone.
Okay, so in our main store, we sold about $900 worth of stuff.
Hey.
32 items. We sold a lot of items, but the average of that was about $28. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's like I said, we sold a lot of items, but they were the lower dollar items.
Right.
On the second eBay store, we made over $400.
Yay.
Which is good. Higher dollar items. But so together we made about $1,300 on eBay. On Amazon, our total sales were $473. So almost $500. After all the fees, we had its return.
The Amazon fees were $300.
And some of that was we did that. When we had those books go in, they charge us for the shipping. So that's part of the fees too.
That's true.
So we ended up with $148. I mean, that's just why I say like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like I don't know how would you make a living strictly on Amazon.
Yeah.
And Bonanza, I think we sold a couple of items. So
yeah, we sold like like 2 or 3 items on Bonanza.
I'll let you put a number up there. It's when you post it.
Yeah, I'll because it's 2 different Bonanza stores.
Okay, some of the things we sold. It's Ryan put this in a video we posted on Wednesday. Some of these.
Some of them, yeah.
Some of them. So we sold a knee brace.
Yeah, so here's the deal with the knee brace.
Don Joy.
Don Joy is a brand. And most of the time we sell like knee braces or like those leg braces when people break their leg. It's like this plastic.
It's like a foot thing, right?
It's like they call it like an air equalizer walker thing. You've seen them before. We find them all the time. And they always sell. But this was like a specialized knee brace for the left leg. And I think it was like specially made for someone because there's no size on it. And then when I looked it up on their website, they're like, this is how you give us your leg measurements. And all these people were like, what size is this? What size is this? What's the measurements? I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to do this. So I put it on. And then I was like, it's basically a medium. And the things were adjustable. So once I put that information in, it sold for $80, like within a week.
And we just laugh about this stuff because I mean, I never thought we would be selling used medical supplies, you know?
We sell them all the time.
It's like arm slings, those foot things, just like, because especially we live in kind of an area that has a lot of older people.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of this stuff just gets thrown to the thrift store and it's really easy to find. It doesn't sell real fast, but it's just one of those things.
But it does sell all the time.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's random.
So Ryan was talking about old books.
Yeah.
She elicited a bunch. I think I've been getting a pretty good eye for these books.
I think
we got this in New Orleans, and it was like a drink book, like how to make cocktails.
New Orleans cocktails.
Right, from the 50s, had very cool whatever. You know, I probably bought it $2 or $3. It sold almost overnight for $50.
Yeah, that's a really good book. I love books like that.
Yep.
The next item was a Cutco knife. We've talked about these before, and I think we learned about these from someone on the blog.
Right.
Cutco.
Cutco.
Because they'll repair it for life and they'll sharpen it for life.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And you bought a 12-piece set for $10 at this thrift store. This one knife sold for $68.
So we've been, instead of doing the set, we've been doing it piece by piece. So we've probably sold 3 or 4 others. So
that was a good
sale. It's a good sale. I found these Coors Light hats. These just like, trucker hats or whatever. I bought them from Buck each.
They're new.
And we sold all 4 of them for $15 each. It's within like a week and a half.
We have 2 left. You bought 6.
I bought 6. Whoa.
Yeah. So
why don't we raise the price on those?
Because I honestly think if I raise the price, they're not going to sell as fast. They're just like Coors Light hats. Like they're not even trucker hats. They're just cotton hats. Yeah. I don't know why they're selling so fast. I really had no idea that they would be this popular. I'm like,
Coors Light.
I don't know what's going on here, but I'm glad they're selling. So
something that sold at last night.
Yes.
Were these tumblers, like drink cups, like
they're glass though.
It's glasses, and they had owls etched on them.
Etched owls.
Okay, 3 glasses. $40.
And you know what? I had them up for higher. I had them up for 50 something.
Incredible. I mean, we talked about this a couple podcasts ago where I sold some rodeo themed glasses, and those also sold for $10 each. I'm just like, I cannot believe that. But and I can't believe you even put that price on it. I mean, I'm just
dude. I'm telling you, owls sell. Look. Owls are cool because they're vintage, right? Like in the 70s, owls were like a big deal. But now they're coming back like more contemporary. Like I was looking up some stuff yesterday, like whatever. And there were all these owl themed, like kind of like anime, like Japan, sort of like cool looking owls. They're now like in trend again. So owls are cool. They're always cool.
So its next thing shows the difference between me and you. So I'm 5 years older than you.
You're 6 years older than me.
I'm 6 years older than you. This item is like the boundary between our age groups.
Because, look, okay.
Dragon Ball Z sweatshirt sold for $30.
It was new.
I
Jay
didn't
probably
really
was like,
know
what
Dragon Ball Z was.
It's like the kids who are younger than me that are adults that are into Pokemon. That's like 6 years younger than me. But so when I was in high school, my brother was super into like, anime and like cool video games that had to do with like Japanimation and stuff. And Dragon Ball Z was on TV after we came home from school in the 90s, late 90s. So I was like, dude, someone like my brother is like, I always loved Dragon Ball Z. So I think it's still on too, somewhere. So someone in Kentucky
bought this dragon. Yeah,
bought this thing.
Cool.
$30.
Yep.
I love it.
We sold a vintage lampshade.
It was a very small lampshade
for $25. And I only bring it up because it's one of those items, and we found it really recently.
Yeah,
and it's sold within a couple of weeks. It's one of those items where I saw and I really felt like this is really vintage.
It's really vintage.
It's like had the 1950s look. It was like a nautical themed.
And what's crazy is it had stains on it.
Yeah, it's stains.
Somebody still wanted it.
But it just really is like out of a it's museum.
Yeah.
Like this will never get made again. That it just looks perfect.
So $25. That was a great sale.
This we sold, and the base of an electric kettle that we owned.
Yeah.
And the kettle itself broke. I forgot what happened to it. Like
it just, first of all, we bought it at a thrift store. So it was already like been used so many times. We cleaned it up. We used it for a few months. And like, when you open the kettle up top, like that mechanism started to go. So then the top came off.
A little tiny piece of
plastic
broke, and it basically ruined the whole thing because it wouldn't stop boiling.
It wouldn't stop boiling, and when it's boiling, it's like boiling out the top.
So the kettle itself had to get just dumped, unfortunately.
I think I put it in the recycling, but yeah.
And then the base, Ryan was like, let's sell the base. And it sold within a couple weeks. $15.
It's really funny because Jay was like, what are we going to do with this? I'm like, the cool thing about the base is it's got the model number. So also with electric kettles, if your base gets too wet too many times, it'll like, short itself out.
Right.
So if someone's got a good kettle and they need the base,
it's just amazing
so
to me that there's, a subculture of people that are willing to go to those efforts than just
buy a new one.
I mean, these things aren't that much money.
But that's what's great is
awesome.
Someone must have be a scavenger who's like, I love my kettle. It's fine, except the base is messed up.
Yeah. It's cool. And then the last thing is, I think you put that in the video, right? The typewriter
tin
case. And, and I only bring it up is, it's like the size of like, I don't know, a Danish or something.
Yeah, it's like very little.
It's very small.
Yeah.
It had some nice, like it was painted or whatever.
It had
printed.
The thing about this, okay, so it's a little tin that holds typewriter ribbon, probably from the 40s. It says like the information, ideal typewriter ribbon. But when you flip it over, it had this like image that was like a print of a painting of like birds of paradise flowers in a vase. I'm like, what? That's so weird.
And this is one of those items that we've all seen where you're like in a thrift store and it's just like on a junky shelf with like actual junk. And I don't know what it was that attracted it to us, but again, you pick it up and it's well made.
And it's just cool.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
But again, you're the one that put that kind of price on it, and it's just incredible. And
$42. Someone bought it for $42. Well, when it sold, I was in shock. I was like, I can't believe I put that price on that.
Well, that's a list it and forget it item.
I forgot about that item for sure.
Okay. Customer issues. So we had talked about, I think, that some 3 items when we got back from our long trip got messed up in the mail, stuck in the mail machine and got ripped open. Well, I mean, all we know is we got contacted by our buyers, and they said the envelope came ripped open with a note in it from the post office that told us that the contents got lost. I mean, we were thinking maybe someone like stole it, but then someone was emailing us and telling us that probably what happened was those group of packages got caught
in the machine
and got ripped open.
And I'm sure there's someone else out there, their stuff got caught at the same time. Like, it couldn't have just been ours.
And it's unfortunate because...
Well, this item was $100 little rug.
But the good thing is we had ship saver insurance.
Yes.
We gave the buyer an immediate refund. immediately, like, we made them whole.
Yeah.
And then we did a claim.
Okay, so let me talk about how it goes. So I had to have the buyer send me photos before I gave them a refund, because I'm like, show me the damage package, because that's the way I know I can claim insurance. So they sent me photos, which is great. I refunded them. And then I opened a Ship Saver claim with those photos. I'm like, here's the evidence, and a screenshot of me having given them an eBay refund. I've already refunded my person. The issue with Ship Saver, though, is that they most times will require your buyer to verify that it was either damaged or lost. So they send you a link, have your buyer verify this. And what sucks is when your buyer just never responds. So it had been like 7 days of my buyer not responding. And I wrote to Ship Saver and I was like, I don't think my buyer's responding, but here are all the photos and the screenshot. I even called them. But then that day, my buyer finally came through and verified it. So that was good for me. And then I got the money the next day. So it was $100.
Now, there was one other time when the buyer just never has responded.
And the buyer was really mad at us because they were like, I never got my item. I'm so mad. I'm like, they're never going to verify this.
But...
Right.
You called Ship Saver, and they said, okay.
Yeah.
You gave us enough info. We're good.
Exactly.
Here's the money.
The more evidence you can give them, and the great thing about Ship Saver is if you call them, someone answers the phone. So, you can talk through it with them and be like, help me figure this out, I've always had good experiences with them. So we were happy about that.
Yeah. So sometimes insurance works. I wonder, someone one time said, if you never did insurance, would you actually save money, even if you have to eat some of the losses?
Right.
Like, how often are you buying insurance?
Frequently.
So,
well, it's hard. I wish I had the stats on that, because USPS priority mail for top-rated sellers, you get $100 worth of insurance free every time you use
So how
priority.
much are you spending per month through
I don't know.
a Ship Saver?
I would have to go look.
Got it.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the question. You're like, if you don't insure any of the extra things other than your free priority, and that stuff gets messed up, how often are you claiming insurance?
How often do we claim insurance? Like twice a year, if that?
Maybe twice a year.
So
it makes me nervous not to insure it.
I know. So
yeah.
So if you were just if we had to eat this $100, but we had never bought insurance, would it
even out?
Are you spending $25 a month, $40 a month?
Right. I have to. I should look. I should see.
And maybe only insure the things that are like $800.
Right.
The really expensive stuff. But
exactly.
if it's under $200,
I don't know. I don't know what the good answer is for that.
I mean, what is? I mean, do you know how expensive it costs just to insure a $50 item?
Yeah, $50 item is 80 cents.
80 cents.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Up to $100 for Ship Saver is 80 cents. It's 79 cents.
Got it. And you use a Ship Saver when it's not it's priority.
Right. So if it's a first class lightweight thing,
right.
And it's like a pair of shoes for $40. Right. You're like,
are you insuring everything?
Anything that's first class that's above $20, right. I'm insuring. Huh. Is that crazy?
It kind of thinks. I mean, so if it costs 80 cents to insure a $20 item,
right?
Does the buyer pay for that, or do we?
Yeah, I mean, usually with the eBay discount, shipping discount, it evens out. I'm not adding that extra, you know. So
it's just something to think about. It's
I know,
actuary stuff,
right? It's do the numbers. Are you spending more on insurance than you are having to claim it? Yeah, it's a good question.
Okay, so some news. I hate to break the bad news to people, but for those of you who are self-employed, who do not have any other jobs other than doing this or some other kind of self-employed thing, self-employment quarterly taxes for the federal government and state are due June 18th.
That's very soon.
So, these...
Yeah, we need to get ours up.
This is something that was, when, I'd always worked a job and just taxes automatically got taken out. I mean, this was all new to me about quarterly taxes and all that. And you actually don't have to pay the quarterly taxes, but there's a small penalty at the end of a year if you aren't doing it every quarter. The big thing is, and I think the reason why they have the quarterly taxes is just to make it easier. And I know that's true for us. We did it last year. We're going to do it this year. We pay every quarter. So then by the end of the year at tax time, it's really a breeze because we basically paid all of our taxes. And
I mean, having that big tax bill at the end of the year is awful.
I mean, I think that's when people start becoming, anti-government, anti-tax people, because that's what happens to them. They work for themselves. They get that big tax bill. It's like $8,000, $10,000 or something.
Crazy.
And, who has that kind of money at the end of the year? But that's how much taxes we all pay.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a job, it doesn't feel like that because it all comes out in little tiny pieces.
Yeah, it's better that way. Although it is always hard writing those checks no matter what.
But, that's how we have roads and the military and, everything else.
It's true.
Social Security.
Yep.
Okay, Ben, our friend Ben, and it's New Orleans, who we actually interviewed, and we'll be posting that interview sometime. He sent us this cool link. Someone in England who works at its museum, for some reason, was just like trolling eBay and found that someone was trying to sell one of those code breaker machines from World War II.
Well, they just thought it was a weird typewriter.
Right.
They're like, oh, some weird typewriter.
But this guy saw it and bought it for $10.
Yep.
And says that it's kind of like, he said it was like a missing a link to something they've been trying to find.
I mean, that is like a priceless artifact that was sitting in someone's garage.
Right.
How they got it is what I would... That's what I want to know. How did this get here?
It makes me want to... It's wondered this. Is there like a link that you could just keep open on your computer and you could see everything new getting posted on eBay? Is there like a fire hose RSS feed? I mean,
of everything being listed on eBay.
I mean, maybe it would move too fast or something, but I mean, I'm just wondering if you could just see just like everything being listed, and you could even like just watch.
You know what you should do? I mean, when we one time back in our Silicon Valley days visited Google, and in their lobby they had a big screen, and you would see everything that was being searched on Google. Obviously, you wouldn't see everything because there's a ton, but anything like interesting, you would like see what was being searched for. And of course, there was, I'm sure, a censor on it so that some crazy stuff wasn't being shown. But wouldn't that be cool to be like, turn your TV on, turn on that feed and see the items being listed? Maybe you could like turn on the category, antique items.
But see, I know that you could do category, but the problem is that what you're probably trying to find are things that someone doesn't know about, so they aren't going to.
They don't know the category.
They aren't going to be putting it in the category that you'd be searching for.
Right.
So that's a hard thing about just keeping it to a specific category.
Yeah.
So I don't know
that. I've heard of apps that do that for YouTube, also, where you're seeing everything that is being uploaded.
But that's how our friend in LA was doing it, that we interviewed, James.
Yeah.
When he was doing it, when he was buying art online in cartoons, he was just, he said he would just stay up all night long and look at all the art and illustration.
Right.
And he was just buying and finding the gems that he could, buy for $100 or something and sell for $25,000.
Right.
Because someone didn't know.
Didn't care.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
You got to be really...
But that's a fascinating story that we will link to.
Yeah.
That is a very cool story.
Okay, so things we learned in the comments or things that people emailed us. Did did you want to talk about this, about the wine glassing?
Sure. So Autumn in Idaho emailed us and had noticed that I had talked about shipping in boxes from the liquor store, and you're not allowed to ship liquor, so you have to cover up. Obviously, you're not shipping liquor, but they don't know that, so you have to cover up those boxes. And she said,
and real quick, the problem about those boxes are there are logos on
every side
of the box. So if you try and cover it up, it's like all these stickers or you have to
marker. It's a lot of work. So she's really smart, and she's like, "Why don't you just turn them inside out?" And for shipping nerds, there's a seam on one side that you can kind of like run your finger along and kind of open the box. And what I've done in the past, this is a long time ago, when I wasn't lazy, I would turn boxes inside out and use a hot glue gun on that seam because that really holds it. And then I would tape that seam too. But you can just tape it on both sides and it's fine, probably. But that is a very good bit of advice.
Yeah.
Because
the thing she's talking about is if you get one of those boxes, they come with those like a cardboard. It's grid that slides right in there, so it's perfect for.
Yeah, I mean,
glasses.
The great thing about those boxes too is if you go to the liquor store in our state, it's the ABC state-run store. They always have tons of boxes. They are happy to give you their boxes, and they're great size boxes, and they're free. But again, it's like it's going to take you time to label them or marker them. So why not just take the time to flip them inside out? So that's a good thing.
And then Cindy from Amazing Taste, she actually emailed us this past week.
Yes.
We love Cindy and her husband. So she said that she had just found out about this, that you can actually apply to have your PayPal fee smaller.
Yes.
And what they call it is the merchant fee. And it's a tiered it's system. People that sell from like $1 to $3,000 and $3,000 to $10 and then $10,000 and up. The more you have passing through PayPal,
that's per month.
Per month. The lower they'll possibly give you on at your rate. And she actually gave us the instructions on how to go and check that out. I'll put that on the blog. You basically just go through some clicks and then you apply and then they tell you.
Yeah.
We had actually found out that we had already done that on our main store.
I don't know when I did it, but I did it.
Yeah.
So I tried it on my smaller store, but I don't think we make enough per month to qualify. So if you are making like $3,000 to $10,000 a month, you should be able to qualify.
Yeah, and I don't really know what the percentages are, like how it's
like how they change it.
Lower they'll bring it. I think it's 2.9 to start. So anyway, I don't know. I'm just going to put this info out there and let people figure it out for themselves. The other thing I wanted to mention was we've had a couple of people say they're going to that big eBay event in Vegas.
Yeah, it's
next month.
Is it the eBay
July.
Radio Party?
Yeah,
is that what it is.
Yeah, it seems like eBay. It used to do a big event themselves. Now they kind of do it through eBay Radio,
right?
Which is basically eBay.
Yeah,
I don't know. We don't know a lot about it. We'll a link to it, but I guess what people were asking would be, we're not going to go.
Right.
We're not going to travel right now, but those of you who are going, if you guys wanted to meet in one place, like they're going to have a big party, I'm sure, with food and drink.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys could meet in a corner or something and, just hang out.
Basically, what we need is anyone going to the party should contact us and say where they want to meet, and we can tell other people.
Yeah, so I don't know if someone has an idea of a landmark or something. I don't know how to tell people. Like, I'll meet you by the shrimp cocktails
exactly.
at 5:00. But
right.
And you guys can party for us and do it true scavenger style. Eat all their free food. Bring Tupperware containers so you have food in the hotel.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the way to do it.
Yep.
And then the last thing, we have a lot of little news this week. Dan.
Yes.
Dan and his wife, who we interviewed.
From New Vintage NY.
Yep. Who we've actually learned quite a bit from.
Yes.
He's definitely a shrewd businessman. So he lives in Albany. And,
yes.
it's New York. He's actually going to run like an in-person like show.
It's like a collector's show.
Right. And he has a space. There are going to be tables, and he's inviting anyone who hears as scavengers. So I'm going to put the information on the blog, so if you're in that area and if you want to attend or meet Dan, you can go. And also, I think he called in, and we'll play that.
Yeah, we can play that. He has more specific info.
Okay, our coming week. Ryan, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do.
I guess I have to listen. Yes.
So, I'm going through all that stuff that we brought home.
Yes.
And we're going to get all that photographed and stored away.
Yes.
Then I'm going to be getting back into our death piles. I did all those scarves.
Yes, thank God.
That was hanging over our head.
I think I listed all of them, too.
Damocles sword.
Yep. I don't even know what you just said, but okay.
And then after that, I popped open a whole bin of ephemera.
Oh, God.
Just like little tiny pieces of paper.
I'm going to cry.
That's basically what this stuff is. There are like menus from vintage ship cruises.
From the 30s. Right. Very cool.
Someone went on a ship cruise, saved all the menus.
They ate a lot of Jell-O.
We picked them up somewhere, and now we'll probably make some money. I mean, they're just all... I
don't even know what that's... But you know what? That stuff sells.
And I talked about it before. This is how you handle a death pile. First, you take out the box and you just empty it out.
Yep.
And it's an overwhelming pile. And then it's just like a little game I play. Then you just start pulling stuff out and making little piles of similar stuff.
Yeah.
Like, all the cookbooks, all the postcards, all the photos, all the whatever. And then it's in piles now. So I'm looking at it, and there's 8 piles, and each pile will be one day's work. And that's how I do it.
That's just it. And you know what? Weird stuff sells, like
Ryan,
we said.
You're welcome.
All right, I guess this week I need to be listing. Why does it say what our coming week will be like, and then it says Ryan listed like crazy? That means last week I listed like
I guess crazy. I wanted to mention that this last week you did a list like crazy.
I did, yes.
I didn't mention it in our numbers. I should have, so I'm glad I wrote it myself that note. You listed, in our main store, 72 items.
Cool.
In our smaller store, 16 items.
16?
Yep. So really like 90 items. And that was in a week where we were gone for 2 days because we were traveling to that auction.
Because trust me, we were gone for 2 days, and then the next, 3 days, I was like, I gotta get to work.
Yeah.
I just sat in my office.
We talk about doing 20 items a day, like 5 days a week. That's about 100 items. I mean, if you can get anywhere close to doing 100 items a week, I mean, that's like a full-time business.
Yeah, that's
in
serious.
our mind.
Yep.
I know there's some people who list even more than that, and my hat's off to you.
Seriously, yeah. It's crazy.
Okay, so let's play the calls that people have sent in.
Okay, you can always call us at 540-407-8486 and leave a message, a question, or a comment you have about stuff.
Hi, guys. Richard here. Thanks for all that you do. I've learned an awful lot from you, too. I just recently made my first GSP sale, and I always include an invoice in my packages. When I printed out the invoice, eBay doubled my bill. They said it was for shipping and handling. My question is, was that the total to my buyer, or will they be paying even more in custom fees, taxes, whatever, on top of that? Secondly, do you include invoices in your GSP sales? And third, is there a way other than asking the seller outright what their total bill came to? I'd sure like to know because it seemed like it was awful high. Thanks very much. Bye.
Okay, so I think what you're seeing on the invoice for global shipping when you print it is you're seeing how much the person paid total for shipping. That includes shipping domestically and internationally and probably customs fees. So you're seeing all that. You only got the domestic price to get it to Kentucky. however much that was. And so part of this, the second question, yes, I do include invoices, because I started doing invoices when we interviewed someone who works at the post office, Matt. And he was like, if something ever happened to your label, we'd be able to open it up and see the address, and that would help us get it to your person. So that's when I started doing that. And yes, I do it for global shipping because that's still a domestic address it has to get to. So if something happened to your box, you would still want it to get, you're responsible for it getting to Kentucky. So I always do invoices for everything.
Hi, Jay. Hi, Ryan. That was a fantastic broadcast. Just listened to it this morning. The subject of puzzles came up. Oh, by the way, Tom. My store is 2Tommy2, T-O-M-M-Y-T-O. And you guys were discussing puzzles, and I'm by no means a puzzle expert. I do like selling toys. But puzzles, my son has had some health problems through the years, and there were times when he's had limited motion. I've been pretty sick, and we would buy him puzzles. And, depending on the age of a young man, he's not going to want to sit there and make a dollar store puzzle with 3 little kittens in a basket. He's going to want something more exciting, motorcycle racing or moose hunting. I mean, there's so many different subjects for puzzles. And just like those of us that sell on eBay in the death piles, you don't want to finger through scarves for hours and hours. Well, who wants to sit there for hours and hours or days putting together a 2,000-piece jigsaw puzzle, a subject matter that you don't care for, cover bridge. When you're into fishing, you'd much rather do a collage of fishing lures. So there is the price. Well, anywhere from $1 store puzzle with kittens could sell, right up to, there's a company, you want to see the ultimate in puzzles, called Stave, S-T-A-V-E. They don't turn up often out there and about. But if you go to that website, you'll see puzzles, hundreds of dollars for 50 to 100 pieces, into thousands of dollars for the ones with more pieces, more intricate. And there's all types of little things built into these puzzles. Incredibly involved, each piece hand cut, no technology, hand glazed, just meticulous, amazing company. So there's my word on puzzles. So let's say you have limited movement and you love a certain subject. Well, you're going to want to keep making puzzles with that subject matter, so you're going to pay higher prices for those puzzles. So there's my word on puzzles. You guys, I just hope you keep doing what you're doing forever. It's awesome. Thank you. Bye-bye.
So this is great. I just want to bring this kind of topic to a close about puzzles. I think I've opened up a can of worms. Yep. So it seems like that's what everyone is telling me and teaching me, is that, there are people, especially if they have loved ones who are older, they're willing to pay high dollars for puzzles because they might have big pieces or an interesting picture or whatever, a theme. So I get it. So that's good to know that puzzles sell, and that's why they sell. I mean, that's how any of this stuff works, is you start to learn who your target audience is. And
absolutely.
Then be like, and not feel weird of why we're selling $30 puzzles.
Right.
Now I know exactly why.
Exactly.
Hey, Jay and Ryan. This is Gary. I got a question, two questions for you, and they're completely unrelated. The first one is with organization. I have one extra bedroom in my house that I use for my eBay that every time I organize, it gets torn up a week or two later. No matter what I do, I can't get to a point where I can be really efficient with my space. And I don't know if it's just because I don't put things that are in places that I can easily get to. because of the space, or if I need to do things different, like maybe build a shelf around the wall, up high, or something like that. But any kind of general tips that you guys have for organizing, even with your packing materials, boxes and stuff, would be appreciated. And the second one is, if you two weren't married, if you two happened to, God forbid, get a divorce, or say you guys never met and you still had this opportunity, do you guys think that you would still do this and be able to not work? I know you know, combine forces and it makes life a lot easier and this kind of life more doable, but do you think you could do it as single people? Thanks, guys.
Okay, I'll answer number one. Yes, you answered it yourself. Shelves, you know, that's what you need. I mean, this is it's your home, so you're allowed to do anything in it, and this is like a real business, and you're ready to invest. Then build shelves along the wall. I mean, you know, it's 2x4s and plywood. That's how we've built shelves. They're super strong. You can hold anything on them. And that's how. And then keep things in plastic bins. And if you have the bins, it's labeled or do a numbering a system, and you just pull stuff up. I mean, things aren't there. It should not be. I mean, this is when you need to evolve from, I'm running a bit of a hobby business, and I have a room, and stuff is just everywhere, but I don't have enough stuff where too much stuff gets a loss.
Right.
But
you hit a point where it does start getting lost.
But it sounds like you got into that point where if you don't start organizing, you're going to just spend more time trying to find things than not. Some people have said you can buy these like steel shelves, like on Amazon, and I guess those would work too. We just had trouble in the beginning. We were buying shelves at Walmart,
plastic shelves. Ooh.
That was a bad thing, and one of them just totally fell down. A couple things broke. I mean, it was a nightmare. So a metal shelves might be better, but my suggestion is just make sure they're into the wall. You drill them, you screw them into the wall, because if not, once you start putting those plastic bins on them, they could fall down.
Right. So in terms of organizing your shipping supplies, yes, it's very important to do that, because if your stuff is not right in front of you where you need it, that's going to like double your shipping time, which is just not necessary. You need to be like, this goes in a poly mailer of this size. Here it is right here. I don't have to dig for it. I don't have a question as to where it is.
And we actually posted a photo of the table that we got a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago.
We bought it at an auction. You know, some store was going out of business, and it's one of those front it's counters at like a laundromat or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And it has like shelves in it, a big tall.
It's actually perfect. It's perfect.
Great.
So, you know, and in terms of like bubble wrap and boxes, I will tell you that my office is a complete nightmare when it comes to that stuff. Like boxes, like reused, like Amazon boxes and bubble wrap. I mean, I have a mountain of that stuff. The good thing is I'm trying to use it so I don't have to break the boxes down. I'm trying to use them every day. Like, yep, this box is good, this box is good. But if you don't use that stuff right away, break the boxes down and just stack them, you know.
Yeah. I think any of us have been, you know, having stores online for a while, it's all about trying to be as efficient as possible. And if you're going to be doing the same tasks every day,
make it easier on yourself.
Second is question, if we weren't together, could we do this alone? I don't know. I don't think I could. No,
really?
Sorry. I know I couldn't do it all alone, or especially at the rate we're doing it.
No, we couldn't do it at the level we do it at. It would be a smaller.
I think I would be more like the guys that see at auctions where they're very specific.
Right.
They're willing to invest in certain things, and so they're selling much fewer items, but for a higher dollar. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Plus, it just wouldn't be as fun if I was doing it all by myself. You know?
Yeah. I think I could do it myself, but I think I would specialize. I think I would be like very much into smaller items, jewelry, things like that are easy to store, and probably clothes and shoes.
And would you have fun doing it?
I don't know.
I want you to say no, that you can only do it with me.
Well, I can't picture my life without you, so I don't know
what
my life in its entirety would be like.
Hey, scavengers, how are you doing? I have a question on top seller benefits and getting top rated seller rating. So I'm looking at my dashboard, and it says if I was evaluated today, I would only be above standard, and I've always been top rated, so now I'm wondering why I dropped below to the next level above standard. So it looks like I have a problem with tracking uploaded on time and validated. It says here that I had tracking uploaded on 83 out of 84 of my transactions, but then it says tracking uploaded and validated by carrier on only 73 of my 84 transactions. And so I'm just wondering if you guys can help me understand what that means. Is validation by the carrier really bothers me, because does that mean the post office isn't saying they're getting it, or what is going on with that, and how can I get that up? Because it looks like because of that, I'm falling below this 90% threshold to get top rated seller status because of something going wrong with my tracking. And so I'm just wondering what your guys' experience is in that, and what the deal is on this tracking uploaded and validated by carrier, because I always use eBay shipping. I always print my labels on eBay, and I pretty much thought that, the transaction information was all automatic, because, I get them picked up the day that I, say I'm going to ship them and all of that. So anyway, help, whatever expertise you can help me with, I'd appreciate. And I love your podcast. Bye, Trash Elves.
So the thing that I found about this, when I check it, it's almost like eBay every couple days updates that number, because their system is slower than getting that information.
Well, I think people get confused, or maybe I'm confused, but the way I understand it is that item has to just get validated, scanned one time somewhere along that route.
Right.
So I've heard people say that it's got to get validated as soon as it gets picked up. As far as I know, that's not true. It's just got to get validated somewhere. So if we send out 10 boxes and they don't get scanned right away, eBay suddenly might think there are 10 boxes that weren't validated, and that can really hurt our percentage.
If you look at it every day.
Then over the next 2 or 3 days, it gets validated somewhere, and then that number catches up. So I know what you're talking about. I'm looking right now, and our tracking uploaded and time validated is 90.72. I mean, we're right on the edge. There's a big red exclamation point saying that you got to be careful. But I bet that will flip
in the next
soon.
day. Yeah, it's gonna change.
Yeah. So, and also it's with this stuff. Call eBay if you're worried about it.
Definitely call. And actually, that's how I figured it out, because Jay looked at that number, I don't know, it was 6 months ago. And he's like, what's up? Why? How come your stuff's not getting... And I was like, well, I just got a call because I don't understand this number. And they told me that. Look, our system just hasn't updated yet. Your stuff's still in the system. It's going to be fine. And then the next day it was fine. So...
Hi, this is Wendy from Georgia. I'm just curious if you guys get heckled by any of the online buyers. I had a blanket up for $58, and a customer laughed at me, said that it was ridiculous, and good luck with that. I was just curious how you guys handle it. Should I even bother responding? Thanks for all your information. Love your show. Bye.
Yes, we absolutely get heckled.
I mean, every so often, we just actually had one
heckled
yesterday where some guy, in his name, it was butt crack 387 or something. So you know what kind of guy it is so far. He sells knives because I followed in. I saw he's a really small time guy that sells knives. We had a knife. It's for sale, and he's like, I have 8 of those. You can buy those at the grocery store for $10. And that's all he said. I mean, I don't know. He's offended that we were asking $100 for some knife. I looked. And I couldn't find these things for $10. So
I mean, look, another thing too is with that guy, I actually wrote back to him.
Did you?
All I wrote was cool, because I'm just I don't care. But another thing too is if people are like, I just bought this same blanket for $10, blah blah blah. Or there's another one online for $10 and you're charging $50. We're like, cool. Go buy that other one. It's cheaper.
We get that every so often too, where someone's like, I just bought the same exact one for $16. Can you sell me yours for the same price with free shipping? And we'll just say like,
no.
You got a great deal. That's not the deal we're going to do. So.
And the other thing too is, like we're saying, you don't even have to respond to those people. Yeah. Just don't even write back. Just whatever. Who cares?
It's also a tactic that, like when we go to a flea market, I see these guys. They're often just men, and they walk up to someone's table, they pick up an item, and they're like, do you want $5 for this? Look, it's got this scratch. It kind of smells. I'll give you $1. How's that? I mean, you're basically insulting the person in inventory, hoping to crush them, and they'll be like, please give me $1. I mean, most people at flea markets I've seen are pros, and they're just like...
They don't take that stuff.
Get out of here.
They're like, whatever, it's worth $5.
So I think it just might be that same tactic online that they're just trying to...
Yeah, they want a lower price.
It's called, it's negging you.
Negging?
Yeah, they're negging you.
Ooh.
Don't fall for it. Okay, I have a question that was sent by email. Okay, she says she bought some stuff at an estate sale, and the items have the people's names on it.
Yes.
Like there's a cup, there's some other stuff, photos, and she's asking, can I sell this stuff? Because, it's got people's personal names on it and photos of people. And she actually said that at the estate sale, the person was kind of well known or something, and there was like a bio of the person.
Oh, really?
So all the stuff was being sold, and they were trying to raise the price because of this person. Anyway, I mean, the answer is absolutely yes.
Yes,
If this stuff is being sold by the family, they're basically putting it, in my opinion, into the public domain.
Right, exactly.
I mean, and that's the other thing too, is it's happened a couple times to us where we put something up online, like some photos or a diary or like I've heard people talk about like a family Bible.
Right.
And then someone in that family will find it.
Because it's got the names in it.
And will buy it.
Yes.
And really you're doing a service because, you've probably saved an item that might have gotten thrown away.
Right.
So anyway, but the answer is it's not a big deal.
Yeah, we don't have a problem with that at all.
Hi, Jay and Ryan. This is Christine K. I've called one other time. This time I'm actually calling about something that I was completely unaware of, and maybe everybody else already knows about it, but I haven't seen it talked about actually anywhere online. eBay allows a 20% restocking fee on our auctions, and I have been using that mostly as a deterrent for people just returning items for, no reason at all. But PayPal apparently does not allow the 20% restocking fee. I had a buyer who claimed that the item wasn't as described, returned that the item was exactly as described. I was able to relist it and resell it almost immediately. But when I contacted eBay, they said it was clear buyer's remorse. Go ahead and take out the 20% restocking fee. Don't refund the original shipping. I did all of that. This person turned around, said he wanted the 20% and the original shipping plus his return shipping refunded, or he was filing with PayPal. I called eBay. They said, he has nothing to file about. He's already gotten a refund. Well, sure enough, PayPal let him open the refund and request and refunded him the 20% and the original shipping. I did call PayPal. They did do it as a quote-unquote one-time courtesy where they refunded it out of PayPal's money rather than out of my account. But they were very clear that they do not allow a 20% restocking fee to be taken out. And if a buyer files with eBay and eBay, sides with us and lets us take up the 20%, then they can go ahead and then refile with PayPal and get the 20% back. So this is something I was completely unaware of. It's not going to change the fact that I'll continue to charge a restocking fee because I think it's a minority of buyers who would do this. But it's something that I think the information needs to be out there. Anyways, love your podcast, and thanks for everything you guys do, and I will talk to you later.
That's crazy, because that's the thing that they always tell you when you call eBay, when you're like, this, was buyer's remorse, but they said it wasn't. They're like, okay, refund them through PayPal minus 20% restocking fee. I've done that several times, and then they close the return case. I've never had anyone open a case in PayPal, which I guess makes sense. But
I mean, I guess those things
sucks.
happen. I mean, those are just really rare.
Yeah.
It's moments and just things like that.
Grumpy
Sometimes you just gotta eat
buyers.
it. I was talking earlier about Amazon, how we've been having trouble or just not being happy with the rate of its returns, because it seems like Amazon buyers have they're very comfortable with just changing their mind and sending stuff in. And there's no restocking fee that I know of. I mean, basically you eat the shipping costs and the costs. And we actually, on one item, we recently complained to Amazon, and we just got kind of like a automated message. And actually I posted it on the blog today, where basically they very clearly stated the policy. I mean, it's great that they're that transparent. They're like, we understand that people are returning things, even though there's nothing wrong, it's with them. And our philosophy is that it's just part of doing business. You should just expect it. And, we know you're going to lose some money on this, but we think that you're going to make more money because buyers are confident in buying from us.
Right.
And they even say you should expect a certain percentage of these kind of its returns. And then they said, we do try and keep an eye on people that are abusing the system, and we deal with those people, but basically too bad. I mean, I think eBay's much better with that. I think as a seller, I feel like I have much more power. At least there can be conversations happening.
Right.
But there are moments where sometimes it's just the cost of doing business, and that you kind of just eat it. And
we've had situations like that.
It's so very rare. You know?
On eBay, it's rare.
Very much unlike Amazon, where in Amazon, like there really is a percentage where you're just eating costs. And if you aren't a big enough person on Amazon, I mean, those costs really eat into its profit. I mean, just like I said earlier, I mean, we aren't making enough compared to how much we actually sell because of all those little fees.
Hey, Jay and Ryan, it's Dan from New Vintage NY. I know there have been a couple of other trash shelf meetups coordinated on the blog, so I'm just looking to set something up in the Albany area. Show is going to be on Sunday, June 19th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. The plan is to have a quarterly collector show. I'm going to be hosting it at the venue. It's located 65 Congress Street, Cohoes, New York. You can find all the information on thealbanyshow.com. I believe Jay and Ryan are going to be nice enough to post it on the blog as well. All the materials are going to show that it's a $3 entry fee. However, if you use the top secret code, very, 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 very secret code trash shelf at the door, you'll get them for free. I'm going to have a spot dedicated to all the trash shelves to meet up, just to make introductions, things like that. I'm also going to provide food and drinks to everyone. As I said, it's going to be 9 to 2, so that's a pretty long period of time, so I wanted to try to have everyone meet up at 12:30 Eastern time, just to, really just pinpoint a time down. Obviously, you can show up to the show at any point of time. So I'm looking forward to meeting everyone in the area. If you can't make it, not a big deal. We're going to be having another show in September. So thanks again to Jay and Ryan for a great podcast, and I appreciate it. Have a good one. Bye.
Okay, so that is the announcement that we talked about earlier, where Dan is having a meetup / show, a selling show. Sounds like kind of like an indoor flea market. And if you're a trash shelf and you're in that area, you can show up. He gave you a little secret code.
Nice.
And, and you can meet people in person. And if anyone takes photos, we will definitely post it to the blog.
Yay.
And I just want to say, we just sold something. We sold in the end of June, where it's hot outside, we sold a 1970s Sherpa shearling denim jacket.
For $40.
How did you know that?
Because I just saw it on my email.
There you go.
While you were blabbing on, I was reading my email.
Blabbing.
Okay, that's it for the podcast. You can check out our blog at scavengerlife.com for links we discussed and to join the conversation. Again, you can leave a question or a comment on our voicemail line. The phone number is 540-407-8486. We post an episode every Monday morning. On Wednesday, we post our What Sells video to show what we sold and how much we sold it for, if we sell anything that week. Subscribe to us through iTunes or YouTube so you always get the latest episode. You can listen to our other podcast where we talk about running an Airbnb vacation rental business. With all our eBay profits go into that stuff, and that's at shampooandbooze.com. And we are ending this podcast in 3, 2, 1. Beep.